trying to bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. Everybody wanna be like us, we don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. Came here ready to fight on this night, you better just run for your life. Run for your life. Run for your life.
It's time to go racing once more as Next Level Racing tries to topple the team at Fordzilla, and we head to Hockenheim for the Elite Showdown with the V8 Supercars. Hello everyone, and welcome back to RaceSpot TV, to the Next Level Racing social media, and to the Team Fordzilla Twitch channel. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined by Fordzilla's own William Chadwick for what is bound to be an exciting evening of entertainment. We have two races, including a full invert for the second race that is bound to bring some entertainment. And Will, let's start with this difficult conversation, at least with you in the room, because Fordzilla, out of the two races so far, has seen Next Level Racing and its community best it twice.
I have got every faith in our drivers to get one back here. Supercar, it's proper road, because obviously the first one we went to dirt road, which was none of our drivers' forte. Second one was NASCAR, which, you know, might got close to winning. But this one, I believe in the guys. I think Sean's going to be up there, maybe Jack as well, Pablo. I'm confident in the guys.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk a little bit about prizes, because we got plenty of them. The winner will walk away with a prize pack of just over $2,000 in value. It includes the Next Level Racing Fordzilla GT Elite Cockpit, an ES1 4GT Edition seat, a direct monitor mount, as well as a Fordzilla hoodie, cap and socks, of course, are the best part of that prize pack. But it goes all the way down through 5th position. And if you just finish the race, even if you don't finish at the front, you are eligible for the wheel stand. Let's point out, of course, it's Team Fordzilla versus Next Level Racing. Only the Next Level Racing community members are eligible for those prizes. No matter where they finish, it will be interesting. I mentioned earlier, Will, two races, both 12 minutes in length. We qualified for the first one. The second one, we do a full invert. And even though it's a V8 Supercars, and so maybe you look at the entry list and you say, well, Josh Anderson will waltz away with the victory there, because you tally the points up from both rounds. It's not going to be that easy, and it'll be quite convoluted to figure out who's the champion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting going into those final races, because it's going to be a full reverse grid. It's going to be carnage. Obviously, we say there's no damage here today, so at least no one's going to have to take a fast repair or anything. But full reverse grid is going to be really chaotic, I think.
We're in a Ford once again. This time it's the Ford Mustang GT Generation 2 Supercar, which of course will be replaced in the real world next year, and hopefully not too long before we see that car join the iRacing ranks as well. That's the Fordzilla car, of course. You'll note very distinctive livery for them compared to the other of the Next Level Racing cars. It's also better than the ERL livery that we had earlier this year. Will Chadwick knows everything that I'm talking about. In terms of this car, though, let's be real. The major difficulty is going to be, one, getting it off the line with standing starts, and then just B, managing the tires, even with a race as short as just 12 minutes.
I often call this car the V8 Supercar Porsche Cup, because something that I'm very familiar with, tyre management is absolutely key here tonight. The tyres in this car are rather fragile and also quite prone to overheating. Of course, the supercar's running on Dunlop Max tyres, I believe is the branding that they run in supercars. And yeah, keeping the tyres cool, managing almost the surface temperature is key to lap time across a stint, and also keeping wear down as well.
I do believe it is a fixed setup across the field, so they're not going to have anti-roll bar adjustments like you would in the real world. So It's all about dialing the car in, and, well, we mentioned the name Joshua Anderson. You look at the timing tower on the left, the Fordzilla cars noted in blue highlights up and down through the field. You'll then note some of the Next Level Racing staff members with red highlights. But it's 6/10 at the front between Joshua Anderson and the rest of the field with 30 seconds left to go in practice.
Yeah, it's not looking good, is it, at the moment? But I'm keeping fingers crossed for the race. And like we say, the prizes are given out in the feature race. So I think that still bodes well for our guys, because picking your way through the pack is going to be tricky and very interesting.
Got Pablo Lopez, Peo Pave inside of row 2, Sean Arnold, and then all the way back through the top 10. So plenty of the Fordzilla names at the front. And I think one thing that helps, you were kind of calling out the fact that in the first 2 events, Will, it's been strength in numbers in many ways for Next Level Racing as the practice comes to an end. This time around, there's less of a representation from the community, so we've got a little bit more of an even playing field for the Fordzilla drivers.
Yeah, I think so. But like you say, there is some really, really high-level supercar drivers in here. Joshua Anderson, obviously, being at the top of the timings, proving his worth. I think we're just starting our qualifying session, which is open quali, which makes it even more chaotic. Because obviously you can get a draft. You know, all the drivers are going to be preparing their laps in different ways. You know, it's likely that anyone that's really serious about a lap time here is going to do a relatively slow out lap. So scrubbing the tyres as the minimum amount possible, not getting them overheated, and just overall just trying to prep the tyre in the best, most ideal way possible to maximise lap time.
Not really too concerned about draft when it comes to this car in this qualifying session, but it's just going to be about managing about 25 cars all out there. Maybe there will be some coordination amongst your teammates in the Fordzilla camp. Not towards the hairpin, maybe, as they still get it all sorted out. Of course, that will be one of the primary passing opportunities. Expect chaos, not just on lap 1, but every single time we fly away through there. Now, in terms of Joshua Anderson's V8 Supercars credentials, I mean, he is a multi-time competitor in the V8 Supercars E-Series, the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series, as it's been called the last couple of years. Top 15 in 2021. Don't remember off the top of my head how it looked in 2022. 8th place, I'm being told, in the Cool Drive Auto Parts. Would you guess it? Ford Mustang GT. So it's a car he'll be familiar with. We'll see how he gets up to speed as we'll start to get those first lap times in qualifying, and of course open qualifying. You get to finish the lap you're on when the checkered flies.
Yeah, so it's 4 laps is the maximum allowance that you can do, but to do that competitively within this time period would be rather hard, because you're not going to exactly go and do 4 laps on the bounce unless you're looking for maybe consistency being the prime factor in doing so. The best way possible really is do your first lap, skip the second to reset to the pit lane and get a fresh set of tyres, do your third, and maybe if your third wasn't good enough or you still made a mistake, go for your second lap on your 4th and final attempt.
On board with Lorenz Herzing as he sweeps out of turn 2, the Koana sim racing driver, having a couple of hiccups with his internet as he takes that crucial power out onto this long sweeping parabolica that is technically a corner, but I don't think it's really a corner. This, though, is where the brakes will be tested. Braking before you even get to the 150 marker, down through the gears, nice and tight to the apex, and look how much steering lock that was, and you can also tell it wasn't the best of exits because he had straightened the steering up before you'd really got the power down.
Well, that's one of the things with this car. It's so hard under traction. The importance to get that steering straight is actually, you know, especially for drivers that are just trying to get that lap in initially, as maybe using the first one as a banker, getting the traction is way, way, way more important than potentially getting the best line possible, as you'll see many of the cars drifting their way around this circuit this evening. As we see a little mistake there in the background. Peo Pave on a lap into the stadium section here at Hockenheim. Holding a nice tight line, aiming to straighten the car out as much as possible. I was finding yesterday, when I had a little practice of this, going through those S's looks really simple, right? But I actually don't think you can do it flat out, especially in race conditions, because most cars, GT3, even GT Cup, would be flat out, but in these, it's way too powerful and way too slippy in race conditions.
So we'll get the first lap times across the board, and note those weather conditions. It is a scorcher, 46 degrees on the track, and with not a sight of cloud in the air, it won't get much better. Here comes Anderson with paved the benchmark of 146.97. Behind him, it is close, but we wait for more and more times to come in to see how it will filter out between Fordzilla versus Next Level Racing. With a 146.97, here will come the Australian, the former Vendaval driver, of course, Vendaval having splintered up in the recent months, but Anderson will power to the line, and it's, well, 0.3 quicker, a 143.85, and just like you were saying, will bail out immediately, return to pit lane, get a fresh set of boots on the car, and go for his final attempts.
Yeah, impressive lap time from Anderson. I do think he's got more in the bag, and I also think that maybe if he stays at that lap time, one of our drivers could challenge. But Anderson with a great first lap, and it's only upwards with having at least one more attempt remaining for him to even improve that time.
There's Adam Briggs, who's fortunately the right way up, at least when it comes to a race that I'm commentating on, because it seems just like Bo Albert, Adam Briggs has been struck by the curse of Arjuna in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series, as I think the car that we saw having the issue a lap ago maybe still trying to work its way through. That's Toby Wilson in the 23, as he currently runs in 10th. 13 lap times on the board, but if we look at the gaps, it's a second that splits the top 8 as they run right now. So maybe as expected, a car as technical as this and a track as maybe tricky to get the most out of with this beast, there's a big delta through the field.
Performing a lap time here in these conditions, with the track conditions being so hot, Hockenheim being such a technical circuit in places, and the supercar being so traction-less, it's the best way I could put it. It's a very hard task to do, and that's a testament to how well these drivers are doing with how close these lap times are. You know, a second splitting the top 8 is not bad whatsoever, especially considering the level of competition that's here today.
Here's Graham Brown. Hopefully it's not unlucky number 13 for him. Like you point out, there is a pretty healthy level of drivers up and down. Don't have the exact strength of field, but plenty of drivers up there in the 8,000 I rating, including one Will Chadwick, who accidentally found his way onto the racetrack. Cockpit view with Graham Brown as Pablo GoPro Lopez up into 4th to make it 2 Fordzilla cars in the top 4 as they dominate the outside line of the top 4 rows in qualifying. Nice and tidy, and this is where you get to that sector wheel where it gets tricky, it gets technical, and you've got to be patient.
Yeah, as you can see, squirming away under the braking as we start to enter the stadium section. The fast right, really important to get on the curb. Turn the car through, use the exit, straighten it up. Now down into a really tricky braking zone here. You have to turn it in, get in the camber, the lower of the corner, straighten it out, get as much power on as possible through the S's without drifting like you see, losing traction there, through the final 2 corners, making the apex, using the extra runoff you're allowed on the drag strip, and running to the line.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, getting on the power. Look how much sideways lock these cars are having to put in to fight their way through. It's a 142.089, and he will power slide his way through turn 1. Not able to save it, but he gets himself at least onto the board with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. He's running out of time. He'll have to power out of pit lane and run the outlap as quick as possible. Cannot afford to lose too much time. Here's Wes Graham, Wes the Mess, in the number 21 as he'll come through that final corner. 45.5, his current benchmark, now trending well, but look how nervous it was on power down, working through the corner. Finds 0.6 and will get in front of Adam Briggs.
Yeah, good solid effort there from Wes Graham. I'm watching a few of our Fordzilla drivers on my feed, and Sean's kind of pushed it a little bit too hard, and I don't think he'll actually get another attempt, because in practice, I must say, Sean has been one of the fastest, but he's not quite managed to extract the time that I know he definitely can do. Peyo's done a very close time to what I know he can do as well. Here we see Oliver Newbury trying to improve his time, one of the TFZ community members. Onto his lap here, currently 2.2 seconds off Joshua Anderson, but I'm sure he can make an improvement here on maybe his final attempt.
Oh, okay, so to clarify, I'm a late replacement in the day. Will Vincent was meant to be alongside Will Chadwick for the Will Squared booth. He got called in for some teaching responsibilities at very short notice, so I am suddenly here. Now it explains a lot more, this equality in terms of the field between a number of Fordzilla cars and the Next Level Racing cars. Fordzilla have done what Next Level Racing has done and drafted in the community to come and help them. Very tricky. Very, very tricky. And you can tell there's a slightly different livery on that car as well, isn't there, Will?
Yeah, like you can see, it's skipped the orange accent from the regular Fordzilla liveries and going for a more white sort of colour. And yeah, so we've drafted a few, balance the numbers out, make it more in our favour. You know, maybe we'll have to start doing a point system, because I think having the person that wins is cheating, I think.
You missed the clarification then. It is a point system. The points out of both races determine our winner of this Elite Showdown, and therefore the winner of the over $2,500 in prizes that we have to hand out. 15 seconds left in qualifying. Anderson is yet to improve, and it does not seem as though anyone is going to get close enough to really match him. As it runs right now, it's looking pretty good for Team Fordzilla. They're up there in the fight, and with a full reverse grid after the first 12-minute race, who knows what's left in store for us. That will be it in qualifying as well, because it is a heat session, so you do not get to finish the lap that you are on. So we are ready for the third time in 2022 to send Next Level Racing out against the might of Team Fordzilla, and you can see back and forth. It will be a fight. Joshua Anderson, the presumptive favorite with a 1:43.86, will bring us to the green at the very front of the field alongside Peo Peeve, with a quarter of a second splitting the two of them. Luke Mitchinson for the 04 Next Level Racing community member car inside of Pablo GoPro Lopez, with Lorenz Herzing for Koana Sim Racing inside of Sean Arnold, who's ventured over to iRacing. Jack Ashton, not a surprise to see him here on RaceSpot TV and doing well alongside with Mark Calvo, within Reese Carl and Tyler Blackburn the top 10. Jose Iglesias 11th in the number 1, so some pressure on the team manager's shoulders, with Anthony Woodward on the outside of row number 6. Remember, standing starts as well. It's going to be crazy. Fordzilla community on row 7 with Graham Brown and Oliver Newberry. But Toby Wilson has some surprising colors on his car as he lines up alongside Wes the Mess. The 777 of Adam Briggs will just be hoping that my voice is not the sign that the racing gods will smite him down. He'll be alongside Chris Philippou with Peter Pliska, the first car with no lap time on the board. Clemente in the 20 and 20th. Ian Redmond, Eliza Indrani, Blake Boylan, and then not Will Chadwick. We'll see 24 cars with Zach Christie, getting ready to go racing. We got about 30 seconds before we are ready to get those lights going, the engines to roar, and to send them into turn 1. But your expectations for the first 12-minute dash here, Will, for the Elite Showdown.
Yeah, really, really excited. I think it's going to be a really tough start for these guys, and it's going to be a bit of wheel spin off the line, but we'll see how it comes out. I like the nice formation we've done, 3x3 each side for community and Fordzilla drivers, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it.
It should be pointed out, the cars on the inside not only might have a slightly worse starting spot in terms of traction, but you do not want to be on the inside with cold tires as you sweep into that fast first corner. Throw 12 minutes onto the board. Let's enjoy the song of V8 Supercar music here in Hockenheim, and let's drop the thunder and launch them for the Elite Showdown. As expected, Josh Anderson, a great start, but the Fordzilla machine in second will fight side by side as they sweep through turn 1. Very wide through the corner goes Mitchinson, but alongside into turn 2. Tidily through the opening corner, somehow we make it work. Next Level Racing momentarily 1 and 2. A bit of a send into the corner by Pablo GoPro Lopez will compromise him and see him drop down to 5th position. But at the front of the field, it's Joshua Anderson that powers his way into the hairpin.
Yeah, really, really hectic start there, but not quite as hectic as I expected. Our driver's dropping back a couple of positions. Anderson getting a start like he expected. Sean Arnold up to 3rd. So that's a really good start for him.
3 wide through the hairpin, and now Mitchinson swarms as now trying to get the power down behind him. Jack Ashton bottled up, but Pablo GoPro Lopez will be around the outside and have to slot back into line. My word, some great fighting on the opening lap here, but remember, a full invert after 12 minutes and we'll send them to do it once more. The 14 of Mark Calver to the inside of Tyler Blackburn. It becomes the outside through the next part of the corner, but now the tires are getting up to temperature. You can fight a little bit more.
Yeah, oh no, a spinner for TSO community.
It's Oliver Newberry that will lose the rear wing, but damage reportedly was turned off, so there it will go. It will be reattached magically to his car, and he'll get up and go, albeit at the very tail end of the field.
That's such a shame for Newbury. It's so easy to do, but get back going because obviously there's still chances on the line to make up some positions.
So at the end of lap 1, Anderson already 1.2 clear of the Fordzilla cars behind. It is a duo that runs second and third. Mitchinson then breaks the party up, but Lopez and Ashton keep the Fordzilla pressure at the front. But remember, it is ultimately about the driver that reigns supreme. We're not tallying up the points in terms of teams, looking rearwards, and there's the pressure from Pablo GoPro Lopez. And in terms of diversity, of flexibility, there's no more driver than, there's no other driver maybe than Pablo GoPro Lopez that is adaptable through the field here today.
Yeah, he's drove so many cars over the years, radicals, everything you name it. I also know he's using a proper sequential shifter as well today on his rig. So he's keeping it nice under the other crash.
That was no. Jack Ashton, and now chaos at the hairpin. It's maybe less dramatic than we expected, but it will be Luke Mitchinson and Jack Ashton the big losers in that one. Of course, no damage, so they'll be able to keep fighting, but I think there was a little bit of a shove into the braking zone.
Yeah, it looked to me just on my replay that there was a little bit of contact into the braking zone, which is obviously, it's such a hard braking zone for these cars. Braking just before the 150 marker, the actual stopping time is quite a long time, maybe than you're used to in GT3 machinery, for example. And like you say, just knocked offline a little bit, really hurt the braking zone, and luckily got away quite light. Here we see Jose, our team manager, trying to fight for some positions for us. In 10th place, not doing too badly, but I think he's already practiced like 50 hours for this already, so I'm not surprised.
So basically, he's learning what it's like for you guys when you practice week in and week out for some of the races that you're in front of him. Mitchinson bounces over the curb, and well, then Iglesias gets his own little bit of sideways action going on as well. But if you're not sideways, did you really go V8 Supercars racing? That's the question. 2.5 seconds now at the front of the field. It's not a surprise to see Anderson build up and run away. Really, the only question we have is, with the reverse grid, how easy will it be for him to carve his way through? How difficult will it be for us to figure out who wins at the very end? Again, out of the hairpin at turn 2, powering in towards the Parabolica and down towards the hairpin. They stretch themselves out, and well, we'll see if there's any more shenanigans on the brakes this time around.
Yeah, so like you say, this car is so easy to drift, and it's fun to drift as well, and I really do enjoy that about this car on the iRacing platform. Somewhat underused, unfortunately, but we did go racing with them earlier in the year at the ERL event, like you mentioned. Something to note is, I'll do Jose a little bit of justice here, because he did somehow manage to beat all of us or at one of the stands when we went with Next Level to Gamescom in Germany. And we had the debut of the rig that will be won here today for the winner of the event, the Next Level Ford GT Elite rig. And yeah, he somehow beat us all on Gran Turismo. I think he was playing at home beforehand. But yeah, I'll do him justice by saying that.
More practice behind the scenes as he now loses out to Anthony Woodward, as they funnel in towards the arena section, still going back and forth, the two of them, it would appear, just behind this fight that we're watching right now. 7 minutes left to go, so probably 4 laps to play, as now the gap at the front is up to 4 full seconds. It is not a shock. See that again. Your winner walks away with a Next Level Racing Ford GT Elite cockpit, a ES1 Ford GT Edition seat, a direct monitor mount, as well as the Team Fordzilla hoodie, cap and socks, valued at around $2,250. Second place walks away with the Fanatec GT Direct Drive Pro Wheel and Pedal Bundle, and the hoodie valued at around $1,300. Some Bang & Olufsen headphones for third, along with some Fordzilla socks, monitors for fourth, and then just merch if you're in fifth. Those are only available to the Next Level Racing community. Battle for 10th, side by side into the hairpin, and your team manager is having to fight even harder to try and stay inside the top 10.
Well, yesterday in our practice race, he actually managed to qualify on pole. However, he was very bad on the tyres, which we're probably seeing the effect of that by him having to fight so hard for his positions here. But yeah, oh no, contact with Petter.
That's Clemente, who's just absolutely sent it into that side, and I think for a moment the iRacing car still some damage, so he had a bit of a wiggle, but he brings it back into control. These cars have been on a climb, both the 20 and the 46, 8 and 6 positions gained respectively, just showing us that you can work your way forward for that second reverse grid race that we will very much be looking forward to how the start plays out there, because we had a clean start the first time around. I don't think we're expecting that the second time around.
I think it depends all on how cars get away and what happens into the pinch point. Is that a pedal cam? Sorry, that is a fantastic camera that we've got access to here.
Oh, and he's heel towing and everything.
This is
However,
brilliant.
We will deduct points because he is not using the clutch.
Well, you don't need to use the clutch in this car. That's one of the things.
You don't, but if you're going to the extent of doing this, you might as well go, the whole shebang.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, because you could obviously use the left foot to brake and then blip with the right foot. But I still like the way that we're seeing a bit of heel and toe action, because it's always nice to see that.
I think Sean Arnold is having a technical issue because, he is signaled as out and is dropping down the order. Let's just watch here and watch the dance on the pedals as he goes from the top of the gearbox to the bottom of the gearbox, and just how gingerly he is initially, and then as soon as he's confident, onto the power and rolls his way through. Sean Arnold's confirmation. I think he is indeed going to see himself disconnected and retired from the session. It will promote Pablo GoPro Lopez up into third spot as we now check in with the battle for what is fourth on back.
Well, the unluckiest man in sim racing has yet had another issue with the disconnect, but I'm sure Sean will be back for the next race, hopefully, as long as his PC hasn't died, which I really hope hasn't happened. With his rounds coming up in the LMVS Cup within the next few days, obviously points leader in that, doing incredibly well. Like we see the battle fourth. I really do love the NLR community livery. I don't know what you think about it, but I always love a red and black combo.
I like the way the spec map works on these cars as well. It just looks good. Indication. No, it is correct. Sean Arnold not with a technical issue. Sean Arnold got himself disqualified. There is an I don't know how he got himself disqualified, because there is no incident limit for this race. So I can only assume he did something quite bad.
My best guess is that he got a slowdown penalty, didn't serve it, and decided to just continue going around on track with a black flag. That's my best guess.
To be fair, that does seem like something that might happen. 3 minutes left to go, 5 seconds at the front of your field. Not a shock to see Josh Anderson run away. Jack Ashton is someone that I have commentated in some slower powered, lighter cars. However, he is always someone game for a fight. He shapes up to dive to the inside of Tyler Blackburn to move himself up into the top 5. But look how the brakes have just glowed up as they have to bring all that weight down. And you saw visually how far away Josh Anderson is with only, 9.5 minutes of this race done.
Well, yeah, like you say, it's an amazing performance from Josh. Obviously got a lot of experience in these cars, and like you can see, he's managing that tyre so well and able to keep the lap times consistent and also low. Still only doing like 141.3s when the rest of the pack are into the 42s. So I think tyre management there is key to why he's managing to build this gap so rapidly.
On board with the 14 of Mark Calver, who runs in 8th position, the Team Fordzilla community car. Just listen. You mentioned earlier about not taking the S's flat. I don't think he was even close to 50% throttle there at any point as he worked through. At this point, with how much tires have gone off underneath them. Across the line once more, it'll be 2 laps to go with Josh Anderson so far ahead at the front of your field. So 2 more laps for drivers to make their way forward and get points before we flip the field around and send them back out for 12 more minutes.
Well, yeah, just 9 kilometers to go left in this race. Obviously we've got 32 turns left, 20 to the right, 12 to the left here at Hockenheim. And yeah, such an iconic track, I think, Hockenheim. Obviously it was on the Formula One calendar since the 1970s, reshaped in 2001 due to safety efforts. And it's a great track to go racing at. I always love coming racing at Hockenheim. How about yourself?
Mixed opinions. I enjoy it, I also don't enjoy it. For example, what are your thoughts on the shortened layout that you've been using in the Porsche Tag Heuer Sport Super Cup Contender Series?
I think it could do with a bit of marking on the cut through, because if anyone's ever ran the shorter layout, basically it skips the hairpin out entirely and the section we've just followed the cars through, and you cut into this place where it's got a bit of grass on the left hand side, and it is just tarmac grass, no curb or anything, so it's very easy just to slip onto it as we see two cars going side by side, battle for fourth place into the stadium.
It was the car over the anti-cut curb that got very, very squirrely, and Lorenz Herzing, who continues to experience those internet issues, sees Tyler Blackburn have enough of it and sling it to the inside. He will grab fourth away. Here comes Jack Ashton, and he will try and get it as well. He'll be forced to the outside through the penultimate two corners. We'll have to slot back in, but maybe we'll try and get the cut back in towards turn one using all the runoff as the clock will expire. White flag in hand. One final trip around, and now Blackburn lights up the rear tires. Think he's kept it out of the wall and will slot back in just behind Lorenz Herzing.
And it's just reversed itself, something we also didn't see going on as Jack Ashton moves to the inside, ready down into turn number 2 here at Hockenheim. Can he get the move done? I think he does, but something we didn't see as well was that Pablo GoPro Lopez, or we shouldn't really call him GoPro Lopez.
Is he not GoPro anymore?
No, not anymore. Overtook Peo Pive, so that's something we didn't quite catch on camera because we were watching this incredible battle. Who's coming up there from there? What's the NLL member coming up now? That's Luke Mitchinson.
It is Luke Mitchinson back in the fight, and he will make it 3 wide for a moment on the final lap. He will try and grab them all in one corner, but he was always going to slide wide. Now contact off the corner for Tyler Blackburn. Chaos, 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 chaos. The only way to describe it. It was Lorenz Herzing, the one that lost out. Blackburn still alongside, but it's Ashton to fourth.
I'm sorry, you have not seen the battle that I was watching in second. I apologise for exclamating. They were touching side by side, going through the fast kink. Both our drivers, Lopez and Pete, clearly not playing team games together, and they nearly both had a huge shunt as we see an incident that looks like it's happened in the hairpin.
But here is the leader. The presumptive favorite has executed from lights to flag. It will be the victory in the first of 2 races for Josh Anderson, but he'll start at the back for the second 12 minutes, and he'll have to do it again to get the points on the board. 8.5 seconds clear in 12 minutes. It doesn't get much better than that. Fordzilla second, third, and fourth behind. Well and truly keeping it dramatic all the way as Pablo Lopez grabs second in front of Peo Pive with Jack Ashton fourth. Then Tyler Blackburn, Luke Mitchinson, and Lorenz Herzing all got it sorted out at the very end with Mark Calver drifting it across the line in 8th position. Style points, that is for sure.
I think that was a good showing from our guys. I think it was good to see them locking out second, third, and fourth, and it was fantastic racing. It always provides here in the Next Level versus Team Fordzilla events.
Beaten up Fordzilla community car doing some burnouts as we wait for the final car to come across the line. 23 started, and with damage disabled, 20 finished, 3 retirements. We'll see how it flips around when we go again. 8 laps later, Josh Anderson 9.7 seconds clear of the final tally, more than a second per lap. What will he do? Carving through the field. Fordzilla second through fourth. Lopez, Pave, Ashton, with Blackburn, Mitchinson, and Herzing for the Next Level Racing community, getting some good points on the board for them. Mark Calver, Anthony Woodward, and Jose Iglesias ran out the top 10, with 18.5 seconds splitting them from the leader. Pliska and Carl able to work their way forward to 11th and 12th. Pliska plus 8 behind him. Clement plus 7. With Oliver Newberry, Graham Brown, and then Adam Briggs, who at least survived the race, down in 16th spot with Toby Wilson, Wes Graham, Eliza and Indranini, Chris Philippou bookending the top 20, and then the retirements, or was having issues, Boylan, Arnold, and Redman. So, 8 laps later, we'll flip them around. We'll give them a few moments to have a breather, a drink of water, and they will go once again. I mean, quick thoughts of that one, Will, as we'll get ready to see Josh Anderson have to start from the back and see how it's like at the back of the field rather than the front.
Perfection for me. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. I did really enjoy that. Maybe not perfection in the fact that Anderson won, but it's going to be all up in the air again as we have a 25 car reverse grid, but it actually will be 23 cars because someone might have registered by accident, and also someone else hasn't decided to race in the first race. Probably won't race in the second, but we'll see. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the presumed carnage of the second race.
Yeah, I think turn 1 is the one that we're looking forward to. Let's not forget, though, these events are possible only thanks to our good friends at Team Fordzilla and Next Level Racing. Let's learn more about the products they've just launched.
ain't trying to bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. Everybody wanna be like us, we don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. Came here ready to fight on this night. You better just run for your life. Run for your life. Run for your life.
Back here from the virtual Hockenheim, here on iRacing and RaceSpot TV. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, alongside with Team Fordzilla's own Will Chadwick, as we battle for the third time in 2022. It's Team Fordzilla versus Next Level Racing, the Elite Showdown, as Team Fordzilla tries to finally grab a victory after the Next Level Racing community has grabbed the win on both previous occasions in 2022. We've still got 12 minutes to go. We've got reverse grids. We've got points to figure out. So by no means are we guaranteed to know who the champion is by the time we get to the checkered flag. But Will Chadwick, the one thing we know is we're in for some treats and we're in for some fun racing to get ready to go in just a handful of minutes.
Yeah, it's gonna be real carnage. I think, like we were talking about earlier. I look forward to seeing how some of the drivers have adapted. You know, maybe some of them coming in with less practice than they would have wanted, so we could see some improvement. You know, we obviously saw some people jump really far up the grid in those races. So I think one to note was Petr Plinska, who is a driver for us, who did well coming from qualifying. And it's going to be really interesting going into this reverse grid and seeing who's going to be able to make that progress and lose as little time possible.
And of course, with standing starts here, maybe you're going to have those with a little less experience at the very front of the field. If you're watching on the Next Level Racing social media, thank you for joining us. If you're watching on Next Level Racing YouTube or Team Fordzilla Twitch, do let us know who you're cheering for and where you're watching from. Well, Chadwick and myself watching along on the chats. Saw just how difficult this car is, this track is indeed as well. I think it's fair to say you mentioned your experience in the ERWC, the VCO Esports Racing World Cup, with the other of the V8 supercars. At the very least this time, Will, your teammates have the ability to drive the Ford Mustang, so you don't have to have a car with just a Ford logo slapped on the side of it.
That was the most perfect livery of any event. It was Jose who designed it. I think it was perhaps the best livery I'd ever seen. Unfortunately, we do have a much better livery here today, which we love to see. I did enjoy that ERL that we did. Oh, I think that was the
ERWC technically.
Yeah, it was actually. But obviously, we've qualified as a team, Team Fordzilla, into the second one, which will be taking place in, I believe it's February or sometime, which I'm really excited to get underway and get competing for.
Going to be a lot of fun. We'll be in person. The clock will wind itself down in this brief respite for the drivers. 12 more minutes thrown on the clock. Reverse grid. Sign me up for a little bit of that action. We're ready to go once more in Germany. We're ready to crown the winner of the Elite Showdown, Team Fordzilla versus Next Level Racing for the third time here in 2022. We've driven on the dirt, we've taken NASCAR stock cars to the Ardennes Mountain, and now we bring Australia's finest over to Germany. It'll be maybe Zach Christie at the front of the field, but it definitely won't be William Chadwick on the outside of row number 1. Sean Arnold and Ian Redmond behind them, with Blake Boylan and Chris Philippou 5th and 6th on the grid, with Eliza Indranini and Wes Graham behind them. Toby Wilson and Adam Briggs will bookend the provisional top 10, with Graham Brown and Oliver Newberry in the Fordzilla community cars behind them. Clement, Carl, and the rest of the field, we don't have time to go through them, because once again the engines will build. We'll throw the 12 minutes onto the clock and we'll send them into turn 1. It will be Zach Christie in the pink machine that leads us into the opening corner. Sean Arnold already fighting for the race lead and powering to the outside. Yes, maybe track limits will come into question, but he's got the lead as the car goes around through turn 1. A little bit more danger on the start, as now a big incident down on the run to turn 2. Christie with a send into the braking zone as well. Somehow Josh Anderson already up to 13th spot.
Yeah, somehow Christie and Sean Arnold didn't manage to turn it around there. But you see, Christie did take the start. A bit of an advantage there, I think. He didn't do the first race, and also the disqualification for Sean caused him to head to the front. But yeah, we saw a few cars around, but overall not too bad of a start. Pretty clean. I'm just wondering who's the biggest mover so far. It looks to be, I think Reece Carl and Oliver Newbury have done really well for the TFZ community and TFZ drivers. So.
Well,
good for them.
They would be +7 if not for a certain Josh W. Anderson, who is +12 and now fighting to get inside to the top 10. Here's Adam Briggs down the inside of Jose Iglesias. They tag each other and they will cause the traffic jams of all traffic jams. Joshua Anderson sails through like Moses. He's ready to win this Elite Showdown. But my days, what drama so far in this reverse grid.
Yeah, that was. I love the car that did the little bunny hop there. Looked something out of Mario rather than iRacing. But yeah, like we expected, just a little coming together there, and it's so easy to happen as we see. I think Carl also had a little
Toby Wilson.
Toby Wilson, yeah, like you say. And yeah, it's going to happen, but it was a lot of fun, and we were expecting it, to be honest.
Now Philippu's off the road in the number 24. Josh Anderson's into 5th, by the way. We said that maybe this was going to be difficult to figure out who was going to win. Josh Anderson has said, all right, you commentators can't do math. I'll make your life as easy as possible. There is race number 1's winner, who's already only 6 seconds away from Sean Arnold. Your teammates got some pressure here, Will, to fend off the advances of that 36 car.
Well, like you just saw there was a crash, I think, just ahead of Mr. Anderson, who's been doing excellently well through the field.
That's now Zach Christie that has lost it around. Plenty of weird noises from the RaceBot TV commentary booth here to this morning, at least for me, evening for those of you around the world. It was Oliver Newbury that Anderson had to work his way past, and now it'll be Reece Carl that has to defend from Anderson for the time being. And I think Carl has just been shoved wide and escorted off the road. Anderson up into 2nd. Bit of a stack up at the hairpin once more. Christie will loop it around, but with assistance this time. Behind him, more chaos. And once again, it's traffic at the hairpin.
And I'm sure that's not the first time anyone watching has seen a crash at the hairpin at Hockenheim. Famously tight, famously slow, and we just had a famous crash there in the 3rd event for the TFZ versus NLR.
It's about the 3rd notable and memorable crash. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, suboptimal, to quote Sir Lewis McLean for that 260 of Oliver Newbury. This the fight then for 7th, I believe, as Pablo Lopez gets in front of Wes Graham as he follows the 11 forward. Interesting 4 minutes to start this one out then.
Yeah, like you say, it's been carnage, a bit more what we expected to come out with how hard these cars are to drive, especially on the brakes as well. Just to note, obviously, Team Fordzilla drivers, as previously mentioned, aren't able to win any of the prizes. So your top 3 at the moment for winning the prizes is obviously Anderson, Blackburn and Newbury, all in those spots paying out over $4,000 worth of prizes.
Yeah, Blackburn's having some consistency. He was involved in plenty of the fighting last time around in the first race, as that's a wiggle as Pablo Lopez hangs the rear end out as he sweeps back onto this long run into the hairpin. To be fair, Pablo is familiar with all things off-road, both in the real and virtual world, so very familiar with a little bit of drifting action. It is 5 seconds that splits Sean Arnold from Josh Anderson. Last time by, Anderson gained 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially as the tyres start to go off. As I mentioned, Arnold was looking really quick in practice that we had, but the management of the tyres that Anderson can do may provide a very, very exciting end to this race. We're only just going 8 laps on the count, and if it was to slow down the pace, we may see it only go 7, but I think it's still likely to go 8 laps.
I think the pressure of the number 1 on Jose Iglesias' shoulders has unfortunately struck once again. He's involved and now drops down to 14th spot. Here's a look at the start, and well,
Ooh.
Yeah, clumsy. It's Calvert, one of those involved in the 14. He's the one that takes the brunt of the time loss because remember, damage disabled, so instantly the car gets itself fixed up and going once more. Your team boss has once again lost another position by going off the track. At the very least, when we roll around the next time that you guys have to drive this car, Jose will truly understand just how difficult it is.
Yeah, we see another view of the start. It actually looks like a bit of netcode, to be honest, that started that off, and I still have no idea how Anderson's made it through all of these multiple wrecks we've seen. Pretty much unscathed. I'm pretty sure he was 6 seconds back when he was in 10th and somehow managed to get to second while still being 6 seconds back. So it shows how talented he really is in this car, and we should know that by his iRate.
I think this is going to be a great viewpoint on board with Anderson in the 36. So into the opening corner, he sees smoke, he sees the cars. It's just heads up driving.
Makes it look easy.
Yeah, it doesn't look too hectic. Sticks to one side of the road, knows there's maybe a car off to the left, sends it knowing cars will check up further back in the pack. It's just the wisdom that comes with knowing what starts are like and then having the confidence and ability to make it happen, as still they fought side by side all the way out of turn 3 as they powered in towards the Parabolica. The gap for the lead, by the way, is down to 3.5 seconds because Anderson, last time by, 9/10 quicker than Sean Arnold. And let's be clear here, Sean is getting the most out of that car as Herzing, big moment there, gets in front of Wes Graham.
Yeah, that was really close. Like you say, Sean is no bad driver. Maybe not as familiar to iRacing, but the guy dominates over in the Virtual Cup for LMVS in the LMP3 car. And you can just see how good Anderson is on this platform, in this car, and on this track, it seems. And yeah, like I said, we were all talking about that tyre management and how important it was. He's just done a 40.9 and we're 5 laps into the race. Most people can't do a 40.9 with fresh tyres, let alone Anderson's doing it on the 5th lap. Here's
a look at a replay for that 260 Fordzilla community car of Oliver Newberry. Oh, that's good car control. Yeah, I was going to say, I like the slow motion and then how it sped itself up. To put into context your point on the fastest lap, Anderson's fastest is a 46. Last time by a 49, he has dropped off 0.3. Sean Arnold's fastest lap, a 41.2. That's just in this race, not the first race. Last time by was a 41.7. He has dropped off almost half a second relative. And like you say, no one was really able to get into the 140s anyway, even when they had fresh tires. But time is running out. 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Sean Arnold is coming through, I believe, the final sector to wind his way to the line. By no means is this done and dusted, because I think we've got 3 laps to go. Anderson's closing at a second per lap. He's still got to find some time to get the job done.
But like I say, I think the gap and the time difference is growing lap on lap with the management Anderson is able to do. And it's going to be really, really close, I think, onto this final lap. We could see a last lap battle for the overall win here. To be honest, in terms of the prizes, it doesn't matter for Anderson. Anderson doesn't need to win this race, but it's the pride. Driving for NLR Community. Of course, I'm on Sean's side, but driving for NLR Community doesn't want to be the first person not to win in that livery.
Hey, and let's be honest here, we're running out of time. It's October. I don't know if we've got any more of these events planned before we turn the page to 2023, as there's some lap traffic as the teammates fight. Here's the run from Pablo Lopez. Goes to the outside, then fakes back to the inside, almost turfs his teammate. But they'll make it work, I tell you what. Big smile, I can only assume, for Lopez, who gets it done before they're even into the braking zone. My days, that was close. Last time by, if you're curious, it was 0.8 that Josh Anderson closed on Sean Arnold. We look at the battle for third. Reese Carl defends from Tyler Blackburn.
Yeah, Blackburn's just closed up onto the back of Carl. I think as those tyres start to degrade for Reese. Reese, often a driver in GT4 class, also does a bit of GT3 racing as well. Last event competed for Team Fordzilla was in the Neo, the second race of, 24-hour esports series. Very easy to get wrong. And also he ran Petit Le Mans with Tom Burns in the GT3 car. But like I say, much different kettle of fish. Really hard to keep these tyres alive. And as you can see, Blackburn all over the back.
So it's close, but just 2 laps to go. Sean Arnold crossed the line with 1:46 to go. And Sean Arnold has, I think, just had a moment through turn 1. The gap was 2.5 seconds. Through one corner, it's come down below 2 seconds. Anderson not gaining as much time last time, only 0.6 of a second. By no means is this battle done. I think Sean Arnold has enough of a gap to play with. He has got to be pixel perfect from here.
Yeah, he might have got a slow down there, touch the grass on entry like we've seen so many drivers do. The reason we're seeing drivers do that, and it's something we haven't mentioned in this car, is right-hand drive. Right-hand drive? I had no idea when first stepping into this car, but it actually throws your perception off so much because the majority of race cars are left-hand drive, as are the majority of cars in the world. And that is just something that catches you out. And it's what a lot of drivers have struggled with inside practice. And I'm sure it's one of those things as well that makes it where when you've got car knowledge, it just helps you out a little bit more.
Adam Briggs has gone around, so maybe the curse of Arjuna has struck him again. This the battle just inside the top 10 as Mitchinson and Clement fight over 10th and 11th spots. Front of the field, it's 1.5 seconds. Anderson has not closed maybe as much as we were expecting, and they will start what I believe is the final lap of the race. But I never know for sure when it's as close as this, whether it is the final lap or not. So we will find out now as they sweep through the final corner with 7 seconds to go. The white flag is still in hand. 3, 2, 1. We go one more lap, and it was as close as you can get.
That was literally a second or 0.5 of a second at the line. One more lap remaining for Team Fordzilla to win the first of the 3 events that we've competed in with against LLNLR. No pressure on Sean's shoulders. Obviously, he can't hear me, and I don't want to curse him. But hopefully,
are we technically saying that he wins if he wins just this one race?
I think he absolutely wins.
I think if we're tallying up the points across the 2 races, I still think this is a win for the Next Level Racing community, as long as Addison still finishes in second and something terrible does not befall him right now.
Well, I think I think the feature race is the only one that matters. You know, if you ever go across anything, I think heat races are just grid setting positions. So for me, feature race is the only one that matters, Arjuna.
No bias from the Fordzilla driver. 1.5 seconds. Anderson has tried, but I think maybe just the tires gave up a little bit too late. Remember, not a hint of cloud in the sky. Warm track temperatures, 46 degrees Celsius, and when you have this much power, when you're let loose with it with no electronic aids, you can see what happens as you step the rear end of that car out. This is the battle. Pablo Lopez, POP, still battling 5th and 6th spots. It will be Lopez, though, that has the advantage. They head into the final corners at the front of the field, though. Sean Arnold has fended off the challenge of Josh Anderson, and while that is notable, it will be the Australian that comes across the line to crown himself the elite of the elite, winning the Next Level Racing Fordzilla Next Level Racing community event. Elite Showdown, the 36 roars across the line from the tail of the grid up to second. What a drive it was.
Fantastic drive, and don't forget to mention Blackburn as well, as we see 2 cars coming through. I think this is for 15th and 16th place, battling at the line here just for pride, and it's absolutely wheel to wheel through the final corner around the outside. Can he get the power down? I don't know who it is. Who's ahead?
It's Woodward versus Graham, and the 265 will get it done. The timing tower will update. Toby Wilson across the line behind them in 16th spot. Still wait for the rest of the cars to come across the line. As ever, some fantastic fun, but I think the record book will reflect, that 2022 was the year where Next Level Racing went unbeaten against Team Fordzilla.
I'm still counting us as winning, but I think we'll need a final one maybe in late December to finish off the year. But I'm not sure, like you say, if we have enough time left, being nearly at the end of the 10th month of the year. Hasn't it gone so fast? But yeah, excellent performance from everyone out there today. Put on such a great show. And Pablo and Lopez and Peeve, wheel to wheel the entire time, it would seem.
It was a fun fight. Here we see a couple of those cars celebrating. The good thing is you don't have to be good at donuts in this car to do some burnouts. And so the entirety, I think, of the field will celebrate, at the very least, surviving this one. Across the world we have gone. We started over in Crandon, the big house in the USA, made our way to the Ardennes Mountain, and now over to Hockenheim, where once again we threw Fordzilla into a fight against Next Level Racing, this time maybe with slightly more even numbers. A lot of fun was to be had in this V8 Supercar Mustang. Here's a look at those race results. Sean Arnold will grab some redemption after self-disqualifying himself from the first race of the evening, but in front of Josh Anderson, the dominant force here today, who claims the prizes and claims the title of the Elite Showdown winner. Reese Carl third for Fordzilla in front of Tyler Blackburn, who will grab second on the Next Level Community point standings, I believe, provisionally in front of the Fordzilla trio, Lopez Pave and Ashton Oliver Newberry in the Fordzilla Community. Had a couple of moments in the second race, but eighth for him. Lorenz Herzing and Luke Mitchinson round out the top 10 after having to work their way forward. Behind them in 11th spot, Miguel Clement finishes that number 20 car in front of Peter Pliska and Jose Iglesias. Anthony Woodward in the drag race to the line beats Wes Graham in the 21. Toby Wilson, Mark Calver 16th and 17th in front of Adam Briggs with the 777, Zach Christie and Chris Philippou. Then rest of the top 20. Eliza Indranini, Graham Brown, Blake Boylan, Will Chadwick and Ian Redburn. The 25, technically 23, that took to the line. We'll class Will Chadwick as 24th just so we could tease him a little bit more about it. But what a spectacular event it was once again. And I believe we do have your event winner standing by. So let's drag on in Josh Anderson to have a little bit of a chat. And Josh, you came into this race with so much experience in the car, so surely you were going to be the favorite. But how much fun did you have at the very least working your way forward in race number 2?
Yeah, that was good fun. That's what kind of events are for. It's not too serious. It's still a race, so you're still doing your best, and you are. I'm still a bit disappointed I couldn't go from last to first in the second race, but yeah, it was definitely chaotic. That's one word I would use to describe it.
In terms of the tires at the end of the second race, Will was hoping, I think, and really trying to just see because he wanted to fight, hoping that your tires would last longer. What is the trick to making the tires last in this car, though, with so much power and so little aid from the car itself to make your life easier?
Yeah, you just need to drive it straight. Locking up and sliding, just like in any other car, in GT3s or in Porsche Cup or whatever it is. It really hurts a tire. So just the way that the iRacing tire works, and it's sort of the same principle, just a slightly different car. So just drive it straight and don't lock up, which I didn't do a good job of in the second race. I think on the first lap I locked all fours a couple times, avoiding some shunts. But that's all part of the fun, I suppose.
In terms of the rest of the year, you're coming off your second season in the V8 Supercars E-Series. What else is on the horizon for you in terms of your sim racing?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough through Phil Denez, who helped me out massively. I was able to join BS competition about a month ago. So it's been a little bit quiet in terms of events. It's the end of the year, but it's good to sort of get back into the European scene. I did a lot, when I did PESC and stuff in 2020. And then I just didn't really do much else other than that in 2021. So it's good to get back into it. And I'm really looking forward to being able to represent the team in all the events next year.
Looking forward to seeing that and to talking a lot more about it. Congratulations, Josh, on your dominant drive today and winning a prize package of around $2,250.
Yep. Thank you very much.
That was Josh Anderson, your winner, and rightly points out, I completely forgot he is the newest of your Zebras, although that is technically not true, as the team manager, Timo, has just welcomed the newest addition to the BS competition family. I tell you what, I really want to enjoy a little bit of Will Chadwick chatting with his Fordzilla teammate, so we'll let him loose for 3 questions with Reese Carl.
Hi Reese, how you doing? You had a really good race though in the second race, the best sim photographer in the world, on my opinion. LC sim photography. So I hope you're doing well. How did you find the race and specifically the tyre management, which looks difficult out there? Oh, his mic's not working. He's messaged me. we'll get someone else in that maybe is working at the minute. We've got Jack here. How are you doing? Can you hear us, Jack?
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh,
Loud and
fantastic. Well, maybe Reese will sort his mic issues out. But we saw you have some good races. We saw you fight through, obviously getting 4th in the first race, 7th in the second race. Looked like a lot of carnage. How did you find it out there racing against all the community members?
It was mega, yeah. It was great fun. I just thought I'd come in here to sub in for Sean because he can't get TeamSpeak working. So, but yeah, no, it's been good night's racing. First race was mega. Somehow I managed to bag that 4th on that last lap. But second race was a bit carnage. But still, we took the win. It's good. Well, not win.
Yeah, well, as you say, it's the first event that we've actually managed to head to the top in for the TSZ drivers. Obviously, Anderson, very, very quick driver, doing really well. I thought Jose was going to do better. What's your statement on that? I think he practiced too much and the pressure got to him.
Over practiced, yeah. Way too much practice. That's all it is. I think, what did he clock in VRS? I think he clocked about 200 laps, wasn't it?
Yeah, 500. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Obviously, you doing a lot of real world stuff. You know, you do the Hot Hatch series at 750 Motor Club in real life. Do you often find that there's a good crossover between real life and sim racing?
Well, a Rover Metro versus a V8 supercar is obviously rather different, but yeah, I'll tell you what, I learned so much from iRacing to transfer into real life. I can tell you now, I started real life driving before and then moved into sim racing, and sim racing then improved my real life driving a whole load. So yeah, it's definitely a great training tool. So yeah, love it.
Well, thank you for saving the day, Jack, with Reese Carl's issues. But yeah, we really appreciate it. Oh, and he's gone. Arjuna, over to you for this one.
I think we have Sean Arnold, despite Jack trying to throw him under the bus. Sean, do you have a copy?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear. So let's start with race number 1. Why exactly did you end up with a disqualification?
Jump start. I seen red lights and I let go of my brake instead of the green lights, so yeah.
See, Will was thinking you got to slow down and just ignored it, so at least that makes a lot more sense to me. In terms of the second one, though, surely you saw Josh closing and closing and closing in those final laps of the race, and you must have been concerned, and you must have just been hoping your tires had enough.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe how quick he was. It's unbelievable. I had to slow down, I think, just before the last lap as well, or the second to last lap, so he caught up even more. And I was like, no, please, no. I think it was 5 seconds, and he caught me by like 4 seconds in like 4 laps. So yeah, unbelievable pace by Josh.
Congratulations on at least grabbing the second race win. Will's trying to claim it means that Fordzilla has finally beaten Next Level Racing, but I don't think I'm here to allow that one. But I'm looking forward to seeing you more over the course of the year, Sean, and plenty more in 2023. Congratulations on the run.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Sean Arnold was able to figure out TeamSpeak in time to join us. That just for Reese Carl. Will, a lot of fun once again, but again, it is the 3rd time in a row Next Level Racing comes out on top.
I'm still not taking that one, Arjuna. I know you always like to fix the score in a bit, blame Arjuna. But yeah, it was a really good event, and I always enjoy the action that we get here with these events. Next Level put on such a great show, and thank you to everyone behind the scenes that makes this possible. Hope our winners enjoy their prizes, and can't wait for next time.
We're running out of forwards on iRacing, that's all I'm saying, so maybe there's some more things to come next year. Look at that clock indeed. For now, though, it is time to wrap things up, and what fun we had once more. It is the 3rd time this year that Fordzilla and Next Level Racing have come together. This time in slightly more even numbers. It is the same winner. Next Level Racing walks away on top. Of course, prizes for all of the top 5, and don't forget, the next time this happens, you can be part of the fun, so stay connected on the Next Level Racing social media. But for Hugo Luis behind the scenes, for Will Chadwick alongside, and myself, Arjuna Kengi Party, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time for some more great community racing.